All right, y'all. Welcome to episode number 13. The first video I made was really a struggle, and this one turns out to be even harder. But what we're going to talk about today is the first family, Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, and the younger brother, Seth, and how their occupations, of one way of looking at it, and what their stories represent, how they actually form a cohesive message that is hidden in plain sight that I think a lot of us overlook. As I said, I've been really struggling with this. I have no idea how many times I've recorded it. So I'm getting better and better at it. And it seems like if I just can go straight forward and not get too sidetracked, perhaps this will be the one. So it's kind of hard for me to figure out where to start. But we'll go ahead and start with Cain and Abel. I think it's a good place. You see, Cain was a farmer and Abel was a shepherd. And cleverly, it's very clever how this was hidden. You see, Abel's offering was pleasing to God because of the aroma. And I think this hearkening of food hides the true message of what Abel's offering was really about. See, Cain as the farmer feeds the world, and Abel as the shepherd clothed the world. The first family didn't eat meat. No one ate meat in this royal bloodline, and I'm calling it that because it's sort of what it represents, until the flood of Noah, when food became scarce on the earth. And through adding fear of humanity, we began to eat meat. Again, not the point of this story, but Abel clothed the world, and his offering was pleasing to God because what he was in essence doing was saying, I will not hide from you. I will not hide in this creation of yours and cover myself from this world. It's a beautiful offering, and it is why it was pleasing to God. Now, as parents, Adam spoke to the animals and Eve listened to them. So Adam's a storyteller and Eve was a healer. And the hidden message here really isn't their occupation. It is more about the speaking and the listening and what that represents. In the story, when they ate the tree or ate the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they awoken, their eyes opened, and they were filled with fear, and they had to cover themselves. What these two represent is the consciousness of humanity. They represent the left and right hemisphere of your brain, the known and the unknown, to put it in a Peterson type language, order and chaos. You can go more Eastern with yin and yang. But it is the weight of our consciousness that fills us with fear and dread and wants and desires. The whole entire story of the Bible, all of it, after Adam and Eve, is how to deal with our consciousness. And the younger brother, Seth, he was a teacher. He took the stories of Adam and carried them on into the future and passed them on to the next generations. Eventually ended up in the hands of Abraham and even down to Enoch and the pyramid. But that's another story. But that was his role, was to pass on this understanding that is the consciousness. It was our awakening, that we had to overcome these things to flourish and reach the kingdom of heaven. In the last video, I discussed how the Beatitudes were rather Buddhist in nature. Buddha called for us to detach from this world in order to reach nirvana. And what Jesus was doing was saying you must be low in spirit, meaning we can't be overly emotional. We can't have attachments to this world, and we must mourn for the loss of our attachments in this world, so that we may become strong and then see the world for what it is and try and make it a better place. And it's through this process that we reach the kingdom of heaven. But it all harkens back to the very beginning. That through our awakening of our consciousness, we were hit with something very heavy. And you see, Cain represents need and want. It's not just that he was a farmer. It's just that we have to eat. We have this need to eat. So Cain represents all of those things that we have in this world, our emotional attachments, our wants, our needs, lust and greed and sloth and envy and all those emotions that just constantly eat at us. And Abel represents the letting go, not hiding from God, not hiding from anything in this beautiful creation, opening ourselves up. And these stories were carried on by the teacher of Seth. All this is up front right there in the Bible. So that's what Cain and Abel and Adam and Eve represent. They represent consciousness and our need to overcome our needs, our wants, and our desires. Wants and desires are not favorable, as Abel's offerings or Cain's offerings were not favorable. My kid, it's his birthday. He's very excited right now. So with that, I don't think I'm going to get it any better than that. And I hope that makes sense in a concise way. I wish I could do these big, grand, speeches and whatnot, but I just can't. It's not who I am. I'm exploring this and trying to figure it out as I go along and then sharing it with the world. And again, I'm trying to document this in case my kids ever stumble along to try and figure out who I was as a person. And perhaps maybe there's some other folks out there who are stumbling along and trying to figure it out as well. Together we'll get through this, my friends, but the whole Bible is a book on psychology. How do we overcome the weight of our consciousness? And you see, in the Meek book that I'm writing, the very first story is the awakening of the eternal God. I call it the lesser gods. We're feeding upon the eternal God, and this represents our emotions. And you see, our existence is a direct mirrored reflection of this. I do believe God awoken. And it's a profound experience. Just as we have awoken. And hopefully we learn to overcome our wants, our needs, and our desires, and not go the way of Cain. And we learn through these stories that have been passed on from Seth to become like Abel and show God who we truly are. With that, my friends, I will see you on the next one.